station, Manx Radio.
Women Today.
Faster, my good afternoon. You are listening to Women Today. It's just gone 6 minutes past 2. I'm Christy DeHaven. Thanks very much to Stu and Catherine, of course, for Talking Heads. They'll be back with you at midday on Monday. Now, today, we have another of our special Conister Rocks biographical programmes. This is where we talk to some of the island's best known and best loved personalities. We find out about their lives and the music that means something to them. Delighted this afternoon to be joined by a woman whose reviews speak volumes about her creative talent. According to Q magazine, boundary breaking is routine for Collister and makes her one of the finest grown-up vocalists on the planet. Mojo says she can sing the birds down off the trees and send them back with a tiny flick of her vocal cords. And the Times just tells it straight. The Times simply says she has a voice personally delivered by God.
Well, you know, if one believes in God, then everybody has their voice personally delivered. But what can I say? Don't believe everything you read.
Well, as you'll have heard on the programme anyway, as our guest has been with us several times before, Christine Collister is so much more than just a voice anyway, and we'll be hearing plenty more with Christine this afternoon. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you
It's
for
lovely
inviting
to
me.
have
It's
you.
a privilege. It really is. Thank you.
How is 2018 shaping up for you so far?
Not brilliant, because I've had the cold from hell for the last couple of weeks, as
ditto.
I'm sure many of your listeners have. But apart from that, it's good to be alive, and I'm enjoying the sunshine. Today was lovely. One can find something really remarkable about every day, I think. That's me trying to buoy myself up there. No, I'm doing great.
Any resolutions?
Resolutions? No, actually, I didn't bother with them this year. I figure every year I try and get I try and get a resolution. You know, get out of bed is the first one.
That's good. Start with the little ones.
Start with the little ones,
Yeah.
and then it's like, wow, I've achieved something. I do a daily thing rather than a yearly thing. I find the yearly thing is just like a mountain. How do you get there from here?
Yeah.
So I do a daily thing, yeah.
And you don't want to sort of disappoint yourself at the end of the year anyway.
Well,
by
it's so
not
easy to
achieving
do
them.
that, isn't it? So no, I try and give myself a head start, yeah.
Well, speaking of achievements, I did just read out a few reviews to you there, and you were sort of giggling away in the background. How do you react to reviews like that? And do they actually have an effect? Because, I mean, they are staggering, those reviews. And I presume that when things like that turn up, do people then want to work with you, and do people take you more seriously, or do they have any sort of effect at all? Or do you just think, oh, well, that's rather nice?
That's rather nice.
Yeah.
You can't really, I mean, obviously I use those quotes on my webpage or in promotional material, but and if they really made that much difference, then I'd be playing the Palladium or something every night. I don't know, but they're really nice. But you still have to do the work. It's not. It's always lovely to. I say appreciation is always appreciated, and one always. It's lovely to have positive feedback about anything, but you can't expect that to then do the work for you as such. So you just have to keep, well, thanks very much, and then today's another day, let's sing another song.
You're fairly grounded, aren't you?
I'm a very grounded human being, yes I am. Yes.
And I suppose nowadays anyway, it's sort of everyone's a critic really now, aren't they, because of social media.
Yeah.
But you've very much embraced social media, with your blogs and your video posts, and you're really positive about it, aren't you?
Yeah, I feel if you're going to use it, then use it in a very positive way. I mean, it's too easy to kind of get down on the world. It really, I remember I was part of a Gurdjieff group for a number of years when I lived in London.
A what now? Sorry,
Gurdjieff. It's a kind of a philosophical thing, and their thing was the down will take care of itself. You have to take care of the up, so to speak. So if you focus on the positive, that needs your attention more than the negative.
And you do seem like a very positive person, so
I
it
try.
really works for you. Now, obviously, Collister sounds like a safe bet that you are from Manx heritage, and as most people will know, you were born and bred Manxy.
Yes.
And so tell us a little bit about your childhood then, because it was an interesting one, because it involved boarding houses and all kinds of things, didn't it?
Yeah, sure. I was born the old Jane Crew Corps maternity wing in 1961, and brought up in Farrant Street in Douglas. Mum and Dad bought a hotel there, but Mum and Dad got a house there. They were my dad was from Pulrose, my mum was from Williston, so for them it was quite a leap of faith to even think about owning their own house. And then in the 60s, 70s, a lot of people used to come to the Isle of Man still for holidays. You know, there were the wakes and what have you. And so there were more people came than there were hotel rooms. Can you imagine that?
No.
And so lots of people in Douglas and around the island used to welcome people into their homes and do bed and breakfast in their homes. And mum and dad did that, and they did it really well, and it gave them the confidence and the courage to have a look at maybe running a hotel. And so we moved into the Ellen Vannin on Loch Prom in 1972 when I was 10. It was amazing because I was really into The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe at the time.
Good choice.
Okay, you'll know where I'm going in a minute. So in The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, for those of you who don't know, the heroine in the story finds a wardrobe in a big house and keeps walking through and through and through until she's in this magical kingdom. And I thought, oh my God, 22 rooms, 22 wardrobes. I'm bound to get into Narnia. And I honestly believed I would. But I didn't. But it kept me going for quite some time.
So is that maybe where the sort of the flair for because you have to have a flair for dramatics really being a performer, don't you? Do you think that's where that sort of came from?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
The magic world.
The magic world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you think that's perhaps where your work ethic came from as well? Because it's hard work.
Oh, Mum and Dad worked. Yeah, their socks off. Yeah. They really did. Yeah. Like a lot of people. And again, from that background of you don't get anything for free. You have to work hard for it. Sure.
Yeah. And I have spoken to you before about this, and I remember you saying to me at one point that you think your sister actually has as good as, or even possibly a better voice than yourself when you were a kid. You used to say that. So did you sing together? How did that work?
That's a very good memory there, Christy, yes. My sister Diane and we were given guitars one Christmas. I was 10, she was 12. In fact, there must have been a glut of these particular Spanish high-spot guitars that Christmas, because about 20 of us at the same school got them. And we all learned to play guitar at the same time. And so when we were down at the hotel, we would sing for the visitors of an evening, and then pass the ashtray around, a clean one, and we would earn ourselves some pocket money. But Diane had a sweeter voice, and she was far more adept at playing the guitar than I was. I always had to work at the guitar, but I had more chutzpah. I had more confidence. I really, really, really wanted to do it, and Diane was shy.
So you were always an entertainer, really, even from a very young age.
I suppose so. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's hard to remember now, but certainly then. I mean, I used to sing in the choir. I went to Murray's Road School. I sang in the choir. That was a big deal. And then with the guitar, there was a guitar group called the Sunrise Group. There were about, I don't know how many of this there were, loads of us, and we were quite a ragtag bunch of girls. We all wore long red skirts and white blouses, but oh my God, we looked ridiculous, but we thought we were the bee's knees, you know. And I can't remember, we played at the Villa Marina one Christmas, and I remember playing Little Donkey. That was a song we played.
Oh, lovely.
But I do remember also that I learnt that my guitar playing wasn't great because we played a concert at Murray's Road School, and Hilary Norris, who was a much more proficient guitar player, she played and I sang. And that was, the lines were delineated. But she was a beautiful singer too, so, no doubt she had the same kind of, come on, I can sing as well. And that first song that we did together was Leaving on a Jet Plane.
Oh, what a great tune.
John Denver song. Yeah.
And I saw you on BBC Songs of Praise as well a couple of years back. You were taking a tour of the church on, not Farrant Street, Salisbury, isn't it? Salisbury
Well, it was
Church.
actually on Farrant Street, and we lived right next door, 21 Farrant Street, but it was called Salisbury Street Methodist Church.
And that sort of played a part in your musical
Yeah, well,
music career.
the kids, I'm one of four, so there's Diane, me, Paul, and then Colin, and we all went to Sunday school. I mean, I think rather than a religious education, it was more to give Mum and Dad a bit of time alone. really, if I'm honest. But that was one of the places where we got to sing. You know, we got to sing in the choir there as well, and Sunday school anniversaries and stuff like that. I got to do solo spots, and it was fairly formative musical background for me. Yeah.
Yeah, and you had, as we mentioned, flair for the dramatic. You were the Wicked Witch, I believe, of the
Wicked
West.
Witch of the West. Yes, typecasting, some would say. That was one of the first big production at Ballacamine that Mrs. Norris did, and I've been told, but I've never seen them, that there is a video somewhere. I would absolutely love to see it.
Listeners, this is your call.
I know. Get me that video.
Yeah.
But I shared the role with Catherine Waring, so I don't even know if I was videoed, whether they did both sets of cast or not. But I loved it, absolutely loved it. It was it loomed large at that time in my life, yeah. It was a big deal.
But it's interesting that you didn't then follow that route of doing sort of stage and dramatics. It was more, it was just the singing that you followed.
No, singing held more allure for me than acting. Yeah. I mean, in fact, since then, I don't think I've ever acted. But I just love singing. It lights me up, you know.
And you can see it in the performance. Well, today we are sharing, of course, memories and music.
Yes.
And your first piece of music, your first choice comes from Gene Vincent. Tell us about this particular track.
So Mum and Dad had a dansette player and a whole pile of singles. And one of the singles that my sister and I used to dance along to was Bebopaloola, Gene Vincent. And it still makes me smile. It's just a great track.
Well, Bebopaloola, she's my baby. Bebopaloola, I don't mean my baby. Bebopaloola, she's my baby. Bebopaloola, I don't mean my baby. Bebopaloola, she's my baby, my baby. Well, she's the gal in the red blue jeans. She's the queen of all the team. She's the woman that I know. She's the woman that loves me so. Say, Bebopaloola, she's my baby. Bebopaloola, I don't mean my baby. Bebopaloola, she's my baby, my baby, my baby. That's right. She's the one with the flying feet. She's the one that walks around the store. She's the one that yells more. Bebopaloola, she's my baby. Bebopaloola, I don't mean my baby. Bebopaloola, she's my baby, my baby. Let's rock again now.
Great choice of first song from Christine Collister. That is Gene Vincent and Bebopaloola. Very Elvis Presley, that, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it was around that time. Yeah.
And I can just imagine sort of girls screaming and shouting. Yeah. Did you manage to see many of the acts that were over here? Because he used to get an awful lot of acts over here.
Not at that time.
Too young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it felt very grown up listening to your parents' records, and that always felt so exciting. It was just such an exciting song as a little kid, anyway.
Yeah, it's quite sad now that people just put them on computers, isn't it? I know. Well, we'll be talking much more to Christine Collister over the course of the next 45 minutes or so. If you have any questions for Christine, you can text 166 177 or you can email us studio@manxradio.com.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Women Today.
You are listening to Women Today, and we are joined on our Conister Rock this afternoon by Christine Collister. Delighted to have her with us. And we were just saying before the break, we heard Christine's first piece of music, her choice there, which is Bebopaloola, and we were talking about different bands and things that have played over here over the years. You've seen some fairly high-profile artists here over the years, haven't you?
In the 70s, when the Lido was still up and running, I don't know who it was that set this up, but every Sunday night there was a band, whoever was on tour, saw that you would have a band that was in the charts playing, and it was £1.50 no matter what.
Wow.
And I remember the first people we saw was Status Quo. I was 11. How the hell I got in, I don't know. I had to go upstairs. I wasn't allowed near the bar. So we saw Status Quo, Smokey. When I was 14, I saw 10cc. I was a huge fan of 10cc. I didn't know until many, many years later that was their very, very first live show.
Incredible.
On the Isle of Man. It was amazing. And I'm just telling you now, Eric Stewart looked at me twice.
Oh.
You can imagine as a teenager, that was like a huge... He was probably thinking, who let that little girl in? So who else? Casey and the Sunshine Band, Billy Ocean, AC/DC, the Glitter Band, Matt and Katie Kassoon. I mean, whoever was on at the time. And it was amazing. And you just went. I saw the Bay City Rollers before they were huge hit.
Brilliant. And do you think that sort of spurred you on to want to do this professionally? Did it sort of ignite a fire in you?
Well, it certainly matched the fire that was already there, shall we say.
Yeah. And maybe sort of expanded your horizons.
Yeah, well, it's exciting, isn't it, when you see people playing live. And the Lido was just a great place. I loved it.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad. I only saw the very sort of end of it, really, when they were doing the pancake races. I remember that.
I don't
and
remember
the laser
that
discos. But just before the break, we did hear your first music choice.
Yeah.
And it was because it was a piece of music that used to get played on the dance set recorder.
Ah, yes, I see where you're going.
Yes, and this leads into your first band, which was called...
The Rocking Dance Sets.
Yeah.
Actually, we were called Chris and the Rocking Dance Sets. But yeah, the Rocking Dance Sets. I met Anglin Buttermore, huge musical icon on the Isle of Man. He was a professional. He was an actual professional musician. He was in Shakin' Stevens' band, for those of you who don't know. I was 19 when I met Anglin, and we formed a band together with Mike Williams. And we had drums and bass, other guitars. It was great. So it was Rocking Dance Sets, and we played all over the place, including the Glen Helen and just wherever there was a gig at the time we'd play. And it was just really good fun. And I remember I felt incredibly out of place because I was by far the youngest person. I'm saying by far. Anglin's only a couple of years older than me. It felt I was fairly gauche. One of the things I do remember is rehearsing in what used to be the Punch and Judy cafe up a whole load of stairs at the bottom of Broadway, and Anglin and I did all the schlepping. I'm just, not that I've hold this as a grudge or anything. So, and he used to play a Fender Rhodes piano. So I remember getting all the way up the stairs with his Fender Rhodes piano and bringing everything back down and fitting most of it, not the drums, fitting most of it into his De Chevaux Renault car, Citroen 2CV. And it didn't have a starter motor, and I didn't drive, so I had to push start the car every time. That's the funny, the things you remember. Anyway, I remember being shy about saying what songs I would like to sing, and I basically just sang whatever they, let's do this, we know this, we know this, we know that. And I had the temerity to suggest an Ike and Tina Turner song. And when everybody kind of went, you can't do that, it's a classic, I kind of dug my heels in and I said, well, I want to do it. And so I loved that we managed to do River Deep Mountain High, which was just what a thrill that was. And I'm definitely nowhere near the Ike and Tina version, but it was still a thrill to do.
Well, it is your second song choice, so let's hear a little bit of that original version, Ike and Tina Turner, River Deep Mountain High.
When I was a little girl, I had a rag doll, only doll I've ever owned. Now I love you just the way I love that rag doll, but only now my love has grown, and it gets stronger in every way, and it gets deeper. Let me say
What a tune. And what a brave choice, Christine Collister, to suggest to sing with your band, the Dancettes.
Oh, it was great, though. It was such fun.
And from that point on, then, did you have this newfound confidence to suggest other tunes?
Yeah, I suppose I did. I mean, that must have been the moment where I just thought, oh, sod it, I'll just do what, I really, really wanted to do it. And I'm one of those, maybe like a lot of human beings, if I'm told not to do something, that's when I really want to do it. So,
are you a bit stubborn, would you say?
A little bit, maybe. Manx issue there, is it?
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
But this confidence then perhaps is maybe what led you to make a very brave move, because you eventually did decide to leave the island to pursue your career in music. 1983, aged only 21. I wonder, did you actually have a sort of plan, or was it like a kind of Dick Whittington movement where you just went, I'm going to London to find success? Or how did it all happen?
Well, when I left school at 16, and then somebody got me to sing at a local folk club, and the folk club was run by Dave Sale, and he and I sang at the folk club for a number of years, and when it came to the point where perhaps it was time for me to leave and actually find out if I was any good, because I didn't know. I mean, I knew that the island was basically a small pond, and I'd become a medium fish in it kind of thing. But I really believed that there was a singer like me on every street corner in the UK, and who was I? So Dave, bless him, set me up with floor spots in half a dozen folk clubs one spring, just to test the theory. Come on then, come and just do it. Just go up and sing a few songs. So I did, and I got a great response. I got a really great reaction. Jake Thackeray, in fact, was the main act on one of the gigs, and he was
wonderful.
Very complimentary. And there happened to be an engineer from Piccadilly Radio from Manchester in the audience in one of these gigs, and he introduced himself and said, look, before you go back to the island, will you come into the studio and I'll record, some of the songs that you do and see if, we can do anything with them. So I did that. And from that recording, I got the chance to work at Piccadilly Radio overnight. They had this policy at the time. They were one of the first 24-hour franchised independent radio stations, and part of the policy said that they had to have 10% of their output be live music. So in order to fulfil that part of the contract, they recorded the Halle Orchestra at every given opportunity. And then they had this night beat programme between 2 and 6 in the morning. And they had a night beat muso each night. And you got to sing a song an hour, basically. And they had 4 or 5 Nightbeat musos on the go. Who was the guy that became famous from that? Howard Jones.
Oh, wow.
He had been a Nightbeat muso. I don't think I replaced him, but I wasn't far, after
a similar
his stint.
time.
Yeah. So I accepted, and I went over to Manchester. I was freaking out. I mean, I was really scared. Because you're going to a city.
Yeah, from the tiny island.
Yeah, and I didn't know anybody. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But people were lovely, and I got to... So I did 2 nights a week, which basically gave me a living wage. So I was able to pay for a flat, and I shared accommodation with people. And I did that for about 2 years. And what it entailed was... So there was a DJ, a newsreader, and an assistant, and then the Nightbeat muso. And it was basically, records played. And then after the news, you got to sing a song. So you'd sing like 4 songs a night. So it wasn't exactly a heavy load. But when it was my time to sing, you'd go into the studio part and I'd sit with headphones on and a microphone, and I'd sing to a door.
What a captive audience.
Yeah. And I just sang anything and everything that I could, and I every now and then I'd sing something that I'd written, but it was great. And a supplementary gig I did was at the Millionaire nightclub, which was basically downstairs, and for the same reason, in order for them to have a license, they had to have so much live music, and I had to do 20 minutes once a week. But at the time, that was like 24 quid, which was a lot of money at the time, and paid for my baked beans.
Oh, I love it.
So, in fact, my funny story from the Millionaires Club, I was late one night and I came in the back door with my guitar in hand and I was running down the stairs with the pointy end of the guitar. That's a very technical term, ladies and gentlemen. Going down the stairs. And as I was going down the stairs, George Michael was running up the stairs and the pointy end of my guitar met with his groin area.
Oh my word!
I'm not saying I had anything to do with no,
but he sang in a slightly higher register for several days.
My brush with stardom.
That is a brush with stardom in more ways than one. So it did sort of start you off on your career, and you mentioned writing. You have many influences in your over your career. There's people you've talked to me about in the past, but someone in particular, Joni Mitchell. You really love her, don't you? What is it about
amazing.
Joni?
She's in a sea of male dominated writing and performing and success. She came along very young and incredibly talented, with a very unique, whether you like her or hate her, and she seems to be a Marmite kind of artist, you know.
I don't know how anybody couldn't, but you know.
But you know that the kind of the soaring voice can really get on some people's, you know, wick. So, but I happen to love it, and also influential guitar player, amazing guitar player. She's
incredible. Yeah.
She uses 50 different tunings. I mean, she was, you know, incredibly adventurous in her playing style, creating whole swathes of approaches to playing the guitar, and a poet. An absolute poet, and I just, I think she's amazing.
And there's one song in particular, which interestingly is from the first Joni album I was introduced to by someone from Manx Radio. Actually, Graham Bell told me about Hey Gira, and I fell in love with it instantly. But it's the title track from that you like. Why in particular?
It tells the most beautiful kind of story. It's the words are beautiful, but also this kind of undulating background. It transports. I think it transports me. It definitely transports me, and it has the ability to do that for anybody who gives it a little bit of attention. I think, the lyrics in particular are wonderful.
And we'll come back to talk about those in a moment. But for the time being, here's a little bit of Joni Mitchell. Hey Gira.
Shall shut love away. There's comfort in melancholy when there's no need to explain. It's just as natural as the weather in this moody sky today. In our possessive coupling, so much could not be expressed. So now I am returning to myself these things that you and I suppressed. I see something of myself in everyone, just at this moment of the world. The snow gathers like bolts of lace, waltzing on a ballroom girl. You know it never has been easy, whether you do or you do not resign, whether you travel a breadth of extremities or stick to some straighter line.
It always seems a bit of a crime sort of pulling down partway through songs like this, but we've got so much to talk about, Christine. But Joni Mitchell, Hey Gira, and there's some lyrics in particular that you love in that, which we just heard, aren't there?
The line always gets me, but the whole song is full of beautiful lines. Is snow falling like bolts of lace, waltzing on a ballroom girl. I mean, it's just beautiful. It's just really
gorgeous,
really beautiful.
And I think does reflect in a way the way that you approach writing as well, because it is very poetic, isn't it? The way, and it's sort of very imagery laden, the way you write as well.
I would in no way compare myself to Joni Mitchell.
Just let other people do it.
I think perhaps on occasion I may a little nod in that direction, yes.
Marvellous. We'll hear more of Christine's music choices coming up after the break.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Women Today.
You are listening to Women Today. Just coming up to 18 minutes to 3 now. We're having a lot of fun in the studio today with Christine Collister. Just before the break, Christine, we heard your music choice of Joni Mitchell, and we were talking about lyric writing. How easy did you find it to turn your hand to songwriting itself from having sort of focused mainly on your voice up until that point?
I found it quite difficult. Because I suppose when you're used to choosing such high-end, songs to sing, and then you decide that you might give it a go yourself, you realise how incredibly talented those people are of the songs that you choose that really touch your heart, and then, well, who am I? Who am I? What have I got to say? Blah, blah, blah. So there was quite a battle inside to get over myself, so to speak. But over years of meeting other people and having people give advice, or I did quite a lot of work on creativity, realizing that, well, actually, you just give it a go, just do it. And over time, you find a bit of you find your own way into it. And the best advice that I could give anybody, or that was ever given to me, is to daily connect. She said, after, not having done it for a while. but truly, when you get into a habit, that good habit of giving yourself at least 20 minutes of free form writing, which is what I would try to do, you get the editor out of the way. Because your editor, if you have an editor inside that tells you that something's good or not good, or pursue that line or not the other, then you have to kind of get that out of the way. You have to give the editor something to work with. Otherwise, the editor will just say, well, you're useless. What the hell, So it took me a while to kind of get through that quagmire. But I do now, and there are all sorts of little exercises you can do to help get over that for initial, oh God, I've got nothing to say.
And in fact, as some people won't know this, but you have in fact written a book as well, haven't you?
Oh, yes, I have.
Yeah. Are we going to see that?
I would like to think at some point, but it kind of took a back burner over the past couple of years. But yes, I'm on my third rewrite, and I feel like I've got a bit more momentum now. So yeah, I'm hoping to.
Well, keep us posted on that
I
one.
shall.
But we've talked about your move to the UK, and I can't believe how quickly the show's going already. But we're going to get another couple of music choices in. But you did, of course, when you moved to the UK, you formed your first sort of very important musical partnership, didn't you? With a lot of people remember you from the Gregson Collister years.
Yeah, I met Clive Gregson, who was from Manchester, lived in London. He was in a pop band. I knew nothing about him, and I was doing a floor spot at a folk club near where he was visiting his parents, I think, and he came up and introduced himself, and so we struck up a conversation, and then I started going down to do demos of his songs and other people's songs in London. And he really felt that he could help me develop actually have a career as such. But then we became a partnership. And so that kind of took a back seat. But hey, that's life, right? But it was through Clive that I met Richard Thompson, and Clive had already worked with Richard for a couple of years doing backing vocals on albums. And it was the first album that Richard did without Linda Thompson, a wonderful singer, and their relationship had broken up. And so it was his first endeavour as a full studio album. And so Richard just asked Clive if he knew anybody that would be able to do some backing vocals with him. And he suggested me, and it all went swimmingly. And that was an album called Across a Crowded Room. And he invited Clive to be in his live band for the following, for the tour that would support that album. And like a month before they went, he decided that he really wanted me to be in the band as well. And so I got to tour the States with Clive and Richard in the band, and it was the most amazing time.
And you continued that friendship and working relationship.
Yeah, I still work with Richard. I was in his band. Well, Clive and I were both in his band for 3 years, 85 to 88. And we did backing vocals on about 5 or 6 albums. And then Clive and I split up, and then from then I was doing work with lots of other different people as well as becoming.
Because you do
a solo
enjoy
act.
collaborating, don't you?
I love it.
Which in itself is a very brave thing to do.
I suppose so. I love it. I love working with other people. You just get more energy around whatever it is that you're doing.
And speaking of energy, as those of you who listen to the show regularly will know, you have been working again with the Daphne's Flight ladies, and you went on tour with them in the summer, came in to see us just before you went. How did the tour, though, go then? Because talk about energy, you group of ladies.
Fantastic. Well, so that was in 1996 we originally did that tour. So it was myself, Chris Wilde, Julie Matthews, Melanie Harold and Helen Watson, and Daphne's Flight. So lots and lots of harmony, some great writing, some great arrangements of well-known songs, and we did an album in 1996, and then we got together again and we did it all over again with new songs last year in 2016, and it's like a renaissance, I think, because we're all that bit older and more accomplished and confident, and we've got that huge amount of experience between us and a lot of love, a huge amount of friendship and love and trust. And it's magic, absolutely magical. And we're going to do it again this year. We've already got the tour more or less booked out in September.
And will you be coming back to the island?
We're hoping to. We'd love to. We'd love to start here again at the Centenary Centre. But we've yet to ask Dave McLean if that's okay.
Dave,
please let us play.
And also you've just come back from touring with a chap from Australia, Michael. Tell us about that.
Oh, Michael Fix, wonderful guitar player. He lives in Brisbane in Australia. My lovely husband Bob, whom we've been together 18 years this year. Oh my God! Because of his generosity in having a child with in his first marriage, I am now a grandmother.
Can't believe you're a grandma.
I didn't bother to have children myself, but I am a grandmother. I love being a grandma Crispy. And we have twin granddaughters who now live in Australia. So we go over there as often as we possibly can. And during our time over there, I met Michael Fix, who's this lovely guitar player. And we started doing gigs together. And so for the last 3 or 4 years, when we've gone down to see the girls, we've also done gigs. And it's a fabulous combination, I have to say. So I'll be doing some more shows with him in March and April.
Fabulous. We look forward to those. And you've continued to work as well with various artists from the Isle of Man. We were talking earlier about the fact we both worked with Catherine Crowe, the lovely Catherine Crowe.
Beautiful Catherine.
Who is an amazing inspiration. And also you continued working with people like Davy Knowles, and you went on tour with Rob Cross as well.
Yeah, Rob,
you?
lovely Rob, yeah.
What is it about the Isle of Man, do you think? Because we do seem to sort of punch above our weight when it comes to musical talent, don't we?
Yeah, I don't know. The place is magical. I mean, I actually do love the idea of unicorns and fairies. And it's better than thinking about Donald Trump. That's all I can say.
Agree.
So, and the island has in its makeup, I think, a sense of magic and wonder. And wherever there's magic and wonder, you get some really wonderful things. So, I love singing with your good self. And Joe and Collister, fabulous, singers that beautiful. There's a chemistry also because we're of this island. I think it lifts us. Along with, it imbues whatever you do. So, I love that.
So what is 2018 looking like for you with regards to your music then? You mentioned you're going to be revisiting Michael Fix, maybe doing some more Daphne's Flight. You are going back to Australia, I take it?
Yeah, Bob and I are leaving the island the end of this month, and we won't be back until the end of May. We've just booked it yesterday, so I'm very excited.
What about your own material? Any more Christy material?
Well, that's kind of ongoing. It just is an ongoing process. So I'm able to do that wherever I am, and I'll certainly have a focus on that whilst I'm travelling. With modern technology, you can do anything anywhere these days, which is brilliant. So I'll be working with Michael in, like I say, between March and May. I'm also working with Dave Kelly, blues guitar player with the blues band. We've got, for some bizarre reason, we've got a festival together in Vancouver Island in July.
Brilliant.
Why not, right? So, and then we'll be doing festivals with Daphne's. We just got confirmation we're doing Towersey Folk Festival in August, so that's really fantastic. And then that will move into the shows in September and whatever else might happen in between.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, sort of you left to try and find fame and fortune. You say you're still looking for it now.
Whatever.
Are you still searching for it? Because to be fair, it sounds like you have a very happy and positive approach to music, and everything seems... So you are a very bouncy person.
I am.
So it seems like you are content with where you are.
Yeah, well, content. I don't know if that's the right word, but yeah, why not? That's a good word. My life is good. Life is good. And there's always room for improvement, and I'm always looking for that. But I feel incredibly fortunate. Yeah, I'm very grateful.
Well, what we're going to do is, because this always happens, we have run out of time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask Alex very nicely if he'll play Golden Years, which was one of your choices at the start of his show. So we'll hopefully be able to get some David Bowie in, because that was one of your choices. But we're going to end with a very special dedication, aren't we? Yeah,
my lovely dad, Eddie, bless him, he passed away on December 2nd. And so it's fairly fresh, and it's very sad, but also he's the most beautiful guy. And when we did the cremation ceremony, I put together music for him, and this was the last piece, and it's a family favourite. And I remember singing, Bob and I were singing it with him in hospice only a few days before he passed on, and it brings us a lot of joy. As it does to many people, and it's a perfect way to end. Christine, it has been a joy sharing this hour with you. I wish we had another 3 or 4, because there's so much more we can cover. Oh, thank you for the invite.
Well, if you want to find out more about Christine, you can simply go to christinecollister.com, and all the information about your tours and your gigs and your wonderful blog and the fabulous photos, because you've become a photographer as well.
Thank you.
Over the past few years. Worth checking out. But what a perfect way to end with the wonderful Morecambe and Wise, Bring Me Sunshine. Christine, thank you. Alex is up after the break.
Bring me sunshine in your smile. Bring me laughter all the while. In this world where we live, there should be more happiness. So much joy you can give to each brand new bright tomorrow. Make me happy through the years. Never bring me any tears. Let your arms be as warm as the sun from up above. Bring me fun, bring me sunshine, bring me love. Bring me sunshine in your smile. Bring me laughter all the while. In this world where we live, there should be more happiness. So much joy you can give to each brand new bright tomorrow. Make me happy through the years. Never bring me any tears. Let your arms be as warm as the sun from up above. Bring me fun, bring me sunshine, bring me love, sweet love. Bring me fun, bring me sunshine, bring me love.
Women Today.